Today we are with Priya Singh, who has secured AIR 45 in the UPSC Civil Services examination.
Thank you so much. I have written all my attempts with a full-time job. This was my 6th and last attempt. Wake up at 4 in the morning and I used to give 5 to 6 hours of a study session.
Last Sunday, and there is a lot of noise about this. It was very unconventional paper. It is kind of out of the blue. What is your take on this?
You cannot predict the unpredictable, but I think it was unconventional and absurd for everybody. So I think changing strategy is not a wise option. You never know that next year how will the paper be.
Hello viewers, welcome to the platform of Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are with Priya Singh, who has secured AIR 45 in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Her story is of grit, determination and hard work that is what defines success in UPSC examination. In this video or in this discussion, we'll try to understand what was her overall strategy, how did she overcome failures throughout her entire journey of UPSC, and what are the tips she can give to the aspirants. So first of all, welcome Priya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So to begin with, can you shed some light on your academic background, or how did you prepare for UPSC? Where did you start it? Where did the motivation come from?
So sir, I'm basically an engineer. My graduation, I have done BTech in Computer Science and Engineering. So after completing my graduation, I wrote this exam, SSC CGL. I cleared this exam and then I joined in Ministry of Home Affairs as an accountant. So once I entered the government machinery, I realized that I basically have the potential to, basically I felt that I should write UPSC CSE, because civil services is that one platform where you can actually make an impact on the society, which we have always wanted. So that was where the motivation came. There was a dream since childhood, but that actually became solid after I entered into the government machinery. So that is when I started preparing for this exam, and I gave my first attempt in 2020. It was after I had joined in Ministry of Home Affairs. So I have written all my attempts with a full-time job, and this was my 6th and last attempt. And this was the first time I was able to clear prelims and I wrote mains. Yeah, so attempting prelims examination with full-time job is the major challenges that many aspirants face, because many of them are working professional. So what is the guideline you would give to them? How to attempt examination, how to prepare for it, because they face the challenge of less time, right? So time management was the biggest challenge and the biggest hurdle if you're preparing with a full-time job. But as I always say, it's a double-edged sword. If you have a stable career, then you have a financial backup, and that is very important, seeing the kind of paper UPSC is asking and UPSC is setting. So but it always had a downside, because time management was very challenging. So I made sure that whatever little time I have at my hand, I wouldn't waste that. So in this long journey of 6+ years, I think I very beautifully learned time management. So I used to wake up at 4 in the morning and I used to give 5 to 6 hours of a study session, which was very dedicated. There was no sort of disturbance during those 5 to 6 hours. And post that, during my office also, whatever little time I could, snatch out of the busy schedule, I used to put in those hours in productive learning, as in I used to watch some videos and those kind of things in office. And after coming from office, it used to be very physically and mentally tiring. So whatever little time I could give, like 1-2 hours. So that is how my day used to go.
Yeah, so just we have seen UPSC paper concluded last Sunday, and there is a lot of noise about this. It was very unconventional paper. It is kind of out of the blue, and many students are even doubting that whether they should continue with the same strategy that they were preparing for this examination maybe for last 1 year, 2 years, or even for new aspirants. It is kind of shocker. Should they change the strategy which they have learned from their mentors, peers, and all that? What is your take on this?
I think the paper was very unconventional and very absurd. but I think it was unconventional and absurd for everybody. So it was kind of a leveler paper. Anybody who was writing his sixth attempt or a person who was writing his first attempt, it was more or less same for both of them. So I think changing strategy is not a wise option. One should try to stick to the basics. You never know that next year how will the paper be, because in 2023 people were saying that it was a very unconventional paper. But in 2024 UPSC asked a very static oriented paper which could easily be done with the basic static books
like NCRTs as
like NCRTs and all the standard books that we read. So I think changing strategy is not a wise option because you do not know what is going to come next year. So sticking to the basic books is the bare minimum that a student should do, and trying to do PYQs, trying to get a hack of the language of UPSC, that is also which shouldn't be avoided. So these two things, there shouldn't be, that is the bare basic necessity, that PYQs and the minimum standard books should be read. And apart from that, there is nothing we can do about the absurd nature or the unconventional nature of the exam.
But you cannot predict the unpredictable.
You cannot predict the unpredictable, and if it's a unconventional paper, then one should try to trust their instincts that it's unconventional for everybody. And if you're preparing honestly and you find the paper difficult, then everybody else is also finding the paper difficult.
So I think it's also become like how cool and calm you are in the examination hall, because it's not only testing your knowledge, it's also testing your temperament. So how were you able to maintain your cool and calm in examination in prelims specifically, especially when you are under the pressure that this is your last, last attempt as such?
I think the one thing I changed during my 2025 attempt, which was my last attempt, in my previous attempts it was very difficult for me to maintain the calm in the examination hall. I used to panic really bad after entering that examination hall. So in 2025 attempt, there was only one thing that I tried, and I reinforced during during those 2 hours also, that if I have prepared so well, I have worked so hard, and I'll trust my instincts, and all the basic things which I have read, I'll just stick to them. That is what I'm going to do. And I used to calm my nerves during the exam, and the temperament management is very important. That is, I think those were the things which I changed during my last attempt.
Yes, that's what the game changer, you'd say. So also we have seen like the weightage of current affairs, kind of it fluctuates, but overall this year also we have a lot of questions coming from current affairs, and the aspirants face the problem that there is so much sources, they are sometimes overburdened. So how did you manage this source overload? How did you know that what to actually ignore and what to focus upon, especially from current affairs perspective?
I think me being a working professional, it became a blessing in disguise for me. So I always had a time crunch. So I did not have the leverage of running after all the resources. I knew that I have very limited time, and these are the sources which I can read and revise. I think during my entire journey I had one mantra, that I will not read anything which I cannot revise. So I narrowed down few resources for myself, and I stuck to those resources. So all the FOMO that is created in the market for the current affairs and all the compilations that keep on coming, I never went after that. It was more because I did not have the time. So there were very few things which I did for current affairs. I was reading newspaper, but I was not very consistent with the newspaper due to the time crunch part. But there were few compilations which I was following, and I stuck to that. If I'm reading one compilation, I'll just read one compilation. If questions are going to come from that, I'll solve them. Otherwise, I will I'll just rely on my static parts. So I used to do static very comprehensively, and for current affairs I just stuck to one compilation, and that was during my entire journey.
So also apart from that, people when they start preparing for examination, they think that whether they should start answer writing immediately once they're completing the syllabus and all. When did you start writing answer for mains examination, and what would you suggest new aspirants?
I think it varies very individual to individual, but in my opinion one should start writing answers after they have completed at least one reading for the main specific subjects, because during the initial attempts people usually read what is asked in prelims and main specific subjects are ignored. But once you have read the main specific subjects, like disaster management or internal security. You have completed the entire one reading of the main specific subjects completely and holistically, then one should start writing answers. And it's always the initial stages you start writing, the better it is. So you should start writing early, but not without reading the syllabus once at least. So I think, and that was what I did also. For my optional, I started writing answers. I was more focused rather than going after test series. I was more focused on PYQs. I used to write PYQs and I was very comprehensively writing PYQs both for GS and optional as well. But the full-fledged test series, I think I wrote only after clearing prelims, when in those 70 days well apart that between pre and mains, I wrote test series only during that time. Before that, I was writing PYQs.
Right, so coming to PYQs, students like sometimes they face this difficulty that when you are analyzing the prelims PYQs, what actually they should do? Should they just answer the question? If they get it correct, should they be happy, or they do something extra? And same for mains examination, what actually they can learn from PYQs so they can do better in the actual mains examination?
When it comes to prelims, I think I have also been there. People usually do prelims PYQs as a mock test.
Yes.
That is not how the PYQs are meant to be done. You have to understand the pattern of the paper, the language of the UPSC. UPSC has a very certain language to it of asking questions, of putting statements, and of their elimination techniques and everything. What usually is right when in a particular kind of statement, what kind of words are usually wrong. These type of pattern recognition should be done, and the PYQs should be done in such a manner then if a new question comes, one is able to analyze that, okay, this question is like that question which was asked in that year of the paper. So I was not also doing PYQs in that manner. I think that is what costed me so many years in this prelims, and I did that in this attempt and I was able to clear. So that is the most important thing. It should never be done like a mock test, because when you're preparing thoroughly for the exam, you already know all the answers to the PYQs. So doing them like a mock test is of no use. And when it comes to mains, I think one should start writing the answers, and then one should pick up a model answer booklet or anything, those are available in the market, and see that how close you are to that model answer, and inculcate some good points. If you're getting some data, some facts, some value addition, you can inculcate from those model answers. That is how the mains PYQs should be written. And I think initially one should try to write good answers rather than writing in a time-bound manner. So if you get the knack of writing good answers, then time management becomes easier, especially for the mains. So, but if you do not get into the habit of writing good answers, then time management is of no use. So that is, I think, initial attempts initially one should try to write good answers instead of
like good answers means how to enrich your answers, like substantiate with data, facts, diagrams, flow charts, etc. and all. And that's where also many aspirants come to me and say the problem we are facing is that, for example, if question is asked, they know a static part. For example, volcanism they have learned about, earthquake they have learned about, but from where to collect the data if you have to link it to the current affairs? And same especially for economic, because a lot of data you can use there. So what was your source for using such data in your answer sheet?
For economy, I relied very heavily on the budget and economic survey. So there were compilations available in the market from where that made the job easier for us, so that we could get the data, all the recommendations, committee recommendations and everything for economy. So that is how the value addition should be done. Moreover, if you're in the habit of reading newspapers, you can always collect some good examples and make a short note kind of thing which could be inculcated in the answers. So that is something I did. And when you're writing test, then I think in the feedback or in the model answers, and I would say one should not rely very heavily on the feedback for the mains answers. Rather, they should focus on the model answers given by any coaching you have joined, and you are seeing the model answers. So there will be good points available. So inculcate them in your answers. I think that should suffice. And moreover, for the GS part, I think there was this strategy that I followed. If I'm writing one point, then I'll substantiate each point with anything, with like committee recommendation, data, any example. So I think that really helped me.
Right. Also, when it comes to main preparation, many times students ignore two major papers, that essay and ethics, GS4. They think they do it after the prelims examination. So, what was your strategy related to these two? Did you prepare for essay right from the beginning or after the prelims examination? And how did you enrich your essay?
I think for essay, I wrote very few essays before the prelims, but after the prelims, I very exhaustively read topper copies, and I think that helped me a lot, both in my essay and my ethics preparation. I very exhaustively read topper copies and I made notes out of them. So any good quote or any strategy that during the previous attempt in 2024, I followed Shakti Dubey ma'am's strategy. She always used to start with a quote, and I think that somehow resonated with my style also. So I also started all my ethics questions with a quote. So my introduction was sorted with the quote. So I think topper copies really helped me really well in both the papers, essay and ethics. And then I was writing all the PYQs for the ethics, and for essay I wrote few PYQs, so that was all. I did not write any test series for essay. I wrote only PYQs for both essay and ethics.
Right. Now coming to optional, your optional was anthropology. So what was the reason behind picking this as an optional?
So basically I'm an engineer, but I studied biology till my 12th standard. So I was confused between two optionals, anthropology and sociology. But when I went through their syllabus, I thought I might get some help because of my biology background in physical anthropology part. And I think socio-cultural anthropology, there's some sort of overlap with society and everything. So I felt comfortable with the syllabus, and I thought ki physical anthropology part is very scoring, and I was good in biology. I used to think that I'm good in biology, so that will help me. So that is how I picked anthropology.
Right. So anthropology also, what are the major sources that you refer to? Standard books, if any.
Sir, I read some standard books. I read Ember and Ember, not cover to cover, few chapters of Ember and Ember for sociocultural anthropology. I read Pnath for physical anthropology, and some coaching materials I referred to. There also, I think topper copies and topper notes helped me really well in this preparation because of the time crunch I had. So I had to find some shortcuts. So there's Lagma Tiwari ma'am, her notes I followed. And for paper 2, for the tribal part and the Indian society part, I followed Mandar Patki sir's notes. Those notes were really helpful for me. So there were multiple sources, and I extracted whatever I knew that I could retain. So I made my own notes out of them, and I used to revise them multiple times. And I wrote a lot of tests for anthropology. So I think that really helped me, because I think in optional there is a structure which should be followed. I knew that I have to be, I think inculcating scholars in physical anthropology is very difficult. So I very extensively used AI for that also, because I knew that in physical anthropology and archaeology also, I have to start my every answer with a scholar or with a theory. Basically I have to substantiate my answer, and that should go into the introduction part. So I very extensively practiced those things in my test series. So I think that really helped me.
Yeah. So now coming to note making, because many aspirants also face this difficulty. Should they just read through some books and then revise it again and again, or some notes which they're referring to, or should they make their own notes? And if they are making their notes, it should be condensed note or it should be like big notes and such. And how do they again prepare in the last minute before examination from this?
Sir, I think for optional, having your own notes really helps. I think in my entire journey, optional was one such thing where I had very extensive notes of my own. So because I refer to multiple sources, and going back to each source becomes very difficult. So I had condensed them into my own notes. And about the short notes part, I did not intentionally make short notes, but during the mains and prelims days when I was reading and revising, I always used to scribble. And when we are scribbling, we usually write in very short forms and keywords and everything. So unintentionally that became my short notes, which I could revise during the last moments and even during that paper 1 and paper 2 ke beech ka time. So I think that unintentionally I had my short notes prepared for every subject, and the only reason was during my prelims and mains preparation I knew that writing is the main thing and I should keep writing. Even when I'm revising, I will write and revise. So that is how my short notes were prepared.
Right. Now also coming to this anthropology, in paper 2, students face this difficulty how to like integrate it with the current affairs, right? You have a lot of overlapping with current affairs also. How to use case studies in the answer, because it is said that without case study, anthropology optional and in paper 2, it will not fetch you good marks. How were you able to collect those case studies and were able to integrate current affairs?
Sir, I made some my own notes referring to various books, and then as I mentioned, I very extensively used previous topper notes. So Mandar Patki sir's notes has some beautiful case studies for paper 2. So I had the strategy that I will write some 50-60 case studies, and those case studies will be such that which could be used across the papers. So that could be used, tweaking them a little, they could be used in various answers. So I had made a list of such 50-60 case studies which I would use in all the answers. So I think that really helped me. And the socio-cultural thought that we read in paper 1. So I had this habit that wherever I could, I would try to introduce that theory wala part in all the questions. I somehow, if I am able to inculcate them in physical anthropology part, I will do that. In paper 2 also, I try to introduce theories in the answers. So I think those two things somehow I think made my paper stand out, because that people usually do not do that. They do not use paper 1 ka knowledge in paper 2 and paper 2 ka knowledge in paper 1. But if you are able to do that, then your paper stands out. So I think that is something I did.
Right. So in one topic where most of students face difficulty in anthropology is covering those, this thinkers and all that you have. So how are you able to manage those theory part? Because you do not have any standard sources or all theories are properly given. And also you need to integrate it sometime in paper 2 as well. So what was your source for covering that part?
So first of all, I read, there's this book called Makhan Jha. So first of all, I read that book. Then I also read some articles of EPG Pathshala. So those were the primary sources, and some coaching material also I referred to that is freely available in the market. So that is how I made my own notes, and then I enriched them with previous topper notes and topper copies, mock test. So that is how I made my primary notes for thinkers. And I think thinker wala part is the trickiest part people face, because they do not understand the theories. So if you do not get the feel of the theory, then inculcating them in paper 2 becomes very difficult. So for that I watched a lot of YouTube videos also. So that is how I think I got very comfortable with the theories wala part. So that is how I covered theories.
Right. Also, we are seeing that with passage of time, the anthropology optional, they also have started to ask questions that are more analytical in nature, where to apply your concepts knowledge. If you look at questions that were asked in 2014, 15, 16 and all that, those are more direct, straightforward. A lot of repetitions we have also. So many times students come with this mindset in anthropology, they will have this benefit. They will just read 2-3 months some static parts, some books, and they should be able to answer. But now this is a new challenge that they are facing. So how would you suggest that aspirants should approach this answering analytical questions?
So I think for the first part that it could be covered in 2-3 months. I think in UPSC no optional could be covered in 2 months.
Yeah.
So every optional has approximately same sort of syllabus. I mean lengthwise. So you have to give time to the optional, because they do ask very analytical questions. In anthropology also they are asking. And for that, understanding the concepts becomes very important. So rote learning would not fetch you marks in anthropology. You have to get the feel of the subject, and for that, as I mentioned earlier, I used to watch some YouTube videos. I used to watch some articles, some IGNOU material also I referred to. I referred to EPG Pathshala material. So I think those, when you read a lot of authentic text, then you understand the concepts better, and once you understand the concepts better, then you can inculcate those concepts in across the paper. So I think that is, and it becomes relatively easier to answer the analytical questions which are asked in the paper. So I think that is what helped me.
Right. So that's all about the anthropology. Now coming to your entire journey that you have to go through 6 examinations, 6 different years. How were you able to overcome the self-doubt that generally creeps in? How were you able to manage the expectation of people around you, parents, family maybe? And how were you able to successfully overcome every failure and then come up with this thought that no, I need to go and write the examination again. Many times people lose hope after 2-3 attempts. If they're not able to qualify prelims itself, they feel that maybe they are not made for this examination. They should look for their career opportunities because they see other people basically moving up in the their field or whatever they have. So how are you able to overcome all these difficulties and challenges?
Sir, I think I did not lose hope because for the past 3-4 attempts I was missing prelims with a very small margin. So I think that sort of gives you false hopes that you're missing with a very small margin, and maybe luck was not on my side that day, and I think I will overcome that. So that is what kept me going. I always used to say this to myself that I have been preparing so honestly, I have been working so hard. So if luck is not favoring me today, it will someday. So I think that is what kept me going. And about the family, my family was very supportive in my journey. They saw me struggling, they saw me working hard, they saw me waking up every day at 4 a.m. and then going to the office and also, giving in those hours. So family support was always there, and without that, I think it would not have been possible.
Right. So going backward, if you have to start your preparation again from scratch, what are the 3-4 mistakes that you think you have committed you will not do again, and that should serve as also this guidance for the new aspirants, upcoming aspirants?
I think for the prelims part, my major mistake was not doing the PYQs. Initially not doing the PYQs at all. Then later on when I started doing PYQs, I did not know, and I think many aspirants do not know that what does actually analyzing PYQs mean. So I think that I took some time in understanding that. I think that was the most important mistake which I committed in this journey. And another thing I would say is not knowing how to attempt the paper. I mean, the temperament management, keeping calm, I did not know how to do that. I remember I used to panic, I used to shiver while answering the questions in the prelims examination hall. So I think those were few mistakes which I committed, and there was some, because I did not have the time to take those full-time coachings and everything, there was some misguidance also. So I think those were the few things which, if I have to go back, then that would be something which I would work upon.
Right. So I think the message is that no matter whatever UPSC throws at you, have to every time bounce back and start preparing for the next examination. Because right now, after this prelims especially, a lot of people are going through this journey of self-doubt, whether they should even prepare or not, how to tackle mains. Right. So after prelims, what is your suggestion? Should people be thinking about cutoff and all that, or should they jump into the preparation for mains examination?
I think first of all, one should decide that if they want to continue with this journey. And for that, there are various factors which come into play, the financial stability and everything. But once you are sure that you have to write this exam, then whether you're writing this means or the next means, you anyhow have to prepare for means. And I think prelims is just an eliminatory round. So mains is something which gives you marks. I failed 5 prelims, but mains is what gave me this rank. So when I was failing prelims, I was preparing for mains. So I think that is something one should do. And we do not know about the cutoff and how the paper was very unconventional. So we cannot predict the cutoff and everything. That is, I think, the most useless thing one can do right now. So these 15 days are very important. So if by chance, even if you are feeling that clearing prelims is very difficult, but if by chance you clear prelims, those 15 days are the days which you will regret the most in this mains preparation. So I think one should start as early as possible for mains, because if you are going to write next attempt also, then mains preparation it won't be waste, it will come in handy. So I think preparing for mains would be the wisest decision which one can do right now.
Right. And last is that once you cross prelims, mains, and then you have to face the personality test, interview and all that. So what was your preparation strategy for that last stage of examination?
So my interview was during the first phase, so I did not get a lot of time for the interview preparation. So there were a few basic things which I did. So I was reading newspapers, I was listening to some podcasts which was suggested by my previous toppers and everybody. So that is what I did. Then I attempted some mocks. So I think that was all. Then there was one thing which was very constant. in every feedback I was getting that you have to maintain your confidence. You cannot lose the battle in that interview boardroom. So I think that is something I did. And the interview board was very cordial. My interview went very smooth, and I came back very satisfied. I knew that this is the most I could have done, and I think I did that. And my scores are also pretty decent, I think. So that was the interview part.
Right. So what is the last message that you want to give to the aspirants who have prepared for last 2-3 years, or even those who are trying to attempt examination next year itself? One message that you have learned from this long, arduous journey. I'm sure it would be not so easy. So last words on that.
There's one thing in which I believe, and my belief has turned even more strong after my results. I think that hard work always pays off. So if you're working hard and you know that you are honest in your preparation, and whatever you are doing, you're very hard working and you're very honestly preparing, then I think one should not lose hope. Success will come to you. It may take some time, but do not lose hope and keep on preparing. And do not isolate yourself, and do not let this journey affect your mental health. That is also something which is often ignored, but
Yes.
it is the very, very harsh reality of this exam, that it is very emotionally exhausting, it is very mentally exhausting. So try to balance both the things, and if you're working hard, then keep working, and I think success will come to you.
Right. So thank you again for giving us time and shedding light on the UPSC preparation journey of yours. I'm sure that lot of aspirants would benefit from your this journey itself.
Thank you, sir.